The DevSecOps Maturity model was initially my master's thesis. That is already 10 years ago. And as Sam said, this talk is about the software assurance maturity model and the DevSecOps maturity model. I created this talk together with Aram. He's a core member of SAMM, but he didn't make it today. So that's why I will present both parts, SAMM and DSOMM. So let's start with a quick warm-up. What is the state of application security today? Do you think it's better than 10 years ago? If yes, you should raise your hand. Who thinks it's same as 10 years ago? Okay, so a couple of hands. And who thinks nowadays it's worse than 10 years ago? Oh, a lot of hands are going up. Worse, all right. Yeah, it's debatable, right? And there's obviously no answer. And nowadays we also have things like AI coming up. So what is helping us in general? Technologies, tools, or AI? In this picture, you see that the management for this soccer teams bought very fancy shoes, but shoes alone are not helping, right? So if you buy a lot of more tools in your company, that alone is not helping. You need also processes around. We have a lot of different security standards. You see a couple of them here. For example, NIST from the US, or 10 years ago, Microsoft SDL was a big thing. You have DSOMM and SAMM, which are both based on OpenSAMM, and you have the DevSecOps maturity model, different initiatives. Today we will focus on SAMM and DSOMM. In the middle here, you see that there is the SDLC. It's about practices, how you do, how you integrate security in your development lifecycle. Then a broader view is application security, where you also have some application-related guidelines. Then comes cyber security, and even bigger frame, and then information security, where you also have things which are not related to IT, so general security focused. And for all of these, we have different standards. So this is a 3D model. So you see, for example, up here you have the NIST cybersecurity framework, and OWASP SAMM, for example, focuses on a lot of the parts of application security. And DSOMM, on the other hand, goes here a bit deeper. So as more you go down, as more concrete it becomes. In DSOMM, I try to make it a tiny bit above technology, but only a tiny bit. While SAMM is it's very abstract, not as abstract as other frameworks, but it's very abstract. We will talk about DSOMM and SAMM, and the target in general of maturity models is to analyze current software security practices, build a security program, and implement improvements. So that's a very generic definition. So what we will, in the next minutes, will understand is the differences between SAMM and DSOMM, the comparison of key features, scoring, versioning, and how flexible are both these models, and how you can actually implement them in your organization. And maybe you'll come to a conclusion which model is better for you. So let us start with the software assurance maturity model. The software assurance maturity model brings you measurable results. So you can define, it defines maturity levels across different business functions. You get a clear pathway to improve afterwards. and as we have seen on the slides beforehand, it's very abstract. Oh, and an important point, it's organization agnostic, and also it doesn't require, for example, that you do DevSecOps. Here you see how it is structured. You have a business function. You have actually multiple different business functions. Then you have a security practice in it. You have stream A and B, but it doesn't mean that you have to do B before A. That's independent from it. That's just two categories, I would say. And then you have in each stream 3 maturity levels. So while the first one, two ones are mostly adding different things, the third one is mostly it's about how you can enhance the process. Here you see that we have the governance, business function, design, implementation, verification, and operations. And in each of them, we have 3 different practices, and then in each practice, stream A and stream B. As I said, you have 3 levels. This is an example from the governance, where you have education and guidance, and then you have the stream training and awareness, and the stream culture and organization. And you have the 3 levels: ad hoc provisioning, effectiveness and efficiency, and comprehensive mastery. When you do an assessment, you can, for example, do that with the Excel sheet, which is provided, and then you have multiple answers. So you can say no to the different quality criteria which are here. You can say yes, some of them. You can say yes, at least half of them, and you can say yes, most of them. That are the different answer options you have, and based on the answer, you get a different scoring. The scoring is from 0 to 1, and if you answer no, you get 0 points. If you say some or a few, you get 0.25. If you say at least half, you get 0.5. And if you say yes, I have most or all of the answers, then you can score yourself with 1. And that for each practice. When you then have results in the end, after you went through the whole Excel sheets, which will take some time, and then you can use the results, you get different graphics which you can show. Here you can also show to your management how your security posture enhanced over time. And you can also use this very nicely to negotiate about budgets. So if you did an assessment and it doesn't show the results you would like to have, then you can propose that to your management and ask for budget to enhance it. Yeah, now we have a basic understanding of SAMM, and now we will come to DSOMM, the DevSecOps Maturity Model. Originally, I was implementing security in DevOps strategies, and from my point of view, we have 2 options when we do DevSecOps. One is that we can add security to the DevOps strategy, so we can harden the systems, Kubernetes clusters, we can harden our containers, and so on. And then the DevOps strategies 10 years ago, they brought a new thing. People were testing automatically in pipelines. And that means as security people, we could easily, and we can nowadays easily integrate more security testing. Like we can add DAST scanners to the pipeline. We can add dynamic application security testing to the pipeline. It's parts of it to the pipeline. So that that was a very cool thing 10 years ago. I hope normally most application teams will do that. And then the big question always is what to do first and what to do later. Yeah, and that is why we have DSOMM. Also, you see here a big difference. So, or the first difference between SAMM and DSOMM. SAMM is mainly made for security people to talk with the management. That's what it's designed. So you cannot hand over the Excel sheet from SAMM and ask your developers to fill it out. They will fail, and they will fail to understand the results afterwards. So that's the difference here is DSOMM. That is written for developers and operations people so they understand what to do. So they could perform an assessment, but they, in the best case, have a guidance. So it's not good to hand over checklist. But if you do it a bit interactive in a workshop, for example, they will be easily fill out most of the questions. And operations people, it's the same, and you can also make a plan and ask your developers to adapt. So that is a big difference. We have the DevOps dimensions in DSOMM. We have sub-dimensions, and then we have 5 maturity levels. The dimensions are built at deployment, culture and organization, information gathering, implementation, and test and verification. Here you see a sample of the application. So while SAMM is mainly a documentation, DSOMM is on one hand the model data that is served as YAML files, and then you also have an application where you can browse, where you can ask people to fill out an assessment. This is a smart sample very filtered for inventory, so you only get asset inventory related activities. So as an example, inventory of production components, that means you might have in your internal wiki a list of all the applications in the company. On level 2, it's an inventory of production artifacts. So that goes a bit deeper. For example, container images. So you have an inventory of the container images, so different services, mostly in the DevOps world. And on the next level, you also know what's running inside of these containers or services. So you have an SBOM and upload it to a central inventory. All right. So I often get the requirement, let us do SBOM, and that is nothing for me. What should I do with an SBOM? I need an inventory. In the worst case, I just have an FTP server I upload the SBOMs to, but I need a centralized inventory. That is for me the requirement, not SBOM. All right. Let us come back. So we saw how we can use SAMM results. Now we talk about how we can handle DSOMM results. So in DSOMM, you get a spider web diagram. That is a big difference to SAMM results. In SAMM, you get a standard spider web diagram. So you do not see if you do too much on level 1, and or if you do too less on level 1 or too much on level 3. While in DSOMM, you have here a heat map. Also, you can figure out if you're doing it in the right way, or if you have maybe too much green on the outside. That would mean that there's something wrong in your priorities, at least from a security point of view. There might be other reasons why you are doing things on the outer levels, but it's not security related, or the reason is not security. Yeah, and also another difference you might see here is that we have gray spots. So why do we have gray spots? That is, if there is no activity for that cell, for that dimension and the maturity level, then it's gray. You will not find something like that in SAMM, because SAMM is made for management, so it's very, very structured so that they can easily adapt. Here, it's also structured, but the key point is that you have activities which are valuable on that level, and if there is nothing documented so far, then it's a gray cell. Here we see the view how the different activities are interacting. We're here level 1 to 4. In this example, there are 5 levels in DSOMM, but this is just for you to understand. One which has a lot of dependencies, an activity with a lot of dependencies is defined build, and it's a defined build process. In the best case, you have that in code. Nowadays, in DevOps, so a Jenkins file, for example, or GitHub's actions. And then based on that, there are other activities. Mainly, the activity is rated with the usefulness for security and how easy it is to implement. But if you have dependencies like that, for example, here the test of server-side components with known vulnerabilities, that depends on the defined build process, so it needs to be on level 2. Now we will come to a comparison of the key features. So I first go through the SAMM part, and then I will go through the DSOMM part. So in SAMM, you have the ability to measure and approve the maturity of your organization's AppSec program. You have broad application security focus. You have broad stakeholder base, but as I said, only in the management. And it defines the what. That's an important part here, define the what. And then we come to DSOMM. It measures especially for DevOps practices, and and very specific to DevOps. It's primarily technical stakeholders, but I have to say it also works with upper management. It's not like it wouldn't work. I think SAMM works a tiny bit different, a tiny bit better if you talk with your chief finance officer, for example. But it's all might also be extra work to if you want to implement SAMM and DSOMM together. So you need to think: is it worth it to have both, or you want just one of them? And DSOMM defines the what and how you reach it. That's there's a big difference, right? It defines how you can reach it, and there's also a mapping. So you could do a DSOMM assessment and then translate the results that you also get most of the parts of the SAMM assessment. That is, from my point of view, only something for larger organizations. I wouldn't do that in small companies because then it's a bit too much work. But in large companies, that is something I would definitely recommend. In SAMM, you have fixed versions. You have infrequent updates. If you make a succession, it might take a lot of time until that succession gets implemented. But it's in industry. Industry benchmarks are, for example, available. And if there would be too much change, that would be very hard to have industry benchmarks. You have a good guidance, and you have a relative steep learning curve. In DSOMM, it's very flexible, so activities are often added. Also, dimensions or subdimensions are more frequently added. Currently, I would expect that there will be an AI update soon. You don't have a scoring, but it would be very easy to implement, like in SAMM. So that's, if you want a scoring, you just count the activities in different levels, and then you can make your scoring very easily. Yeah, and I said already, it's very easy to understand for DevOps. So how do you actually use SAMM and DSOMM? The good thing is they both have the same path, so you can apply what I say now to DSOMM or to SAMM. There are some differences which I've highlighted, but mainly they are the same. What is the assessment scope? Or maybe I quickly guide you through the process, which we will take a look at in a minute. So we start with the preparation, then we do the assessment itself, we set the target, we define the plan, we implement what we have planned, and then we roll out. And now I will give you my knowledge of how to, or share my knowledge of how we can reach the different steps. So you need to define the scope of your assessment. We have here a picture where you see the organization on the top. You have different business units, and you have a team and product A and B, for example. So DSOMM is very focused on the application, but not only on the application. It's also it is some activity focused on the team. For example, trainings, which you want to do, you do for a team. Or if you want to have a security champion, you will have that champion in a team. And that team might have multiple products. And SAMM is mainly focused on the business units, so you can make a broader scope for the assessment. SAMM is very in the assessment scope, it's very flexible, while in DSOMM, as I said, it's mainly the team or the product or the application. You have different stakeholders which you want to interview, and in assessment in SAMM covers all 90 activities, while in DSOMM you focus on the team, product, application, or the stakeholders are mainly technical people, and the assessment criteria is different. While you would never, from my point of view, adjust SAMM, DSOMM I would recommend to adjust also for the assessment, so that an organization implements level 4 and 5. Most of the activities are never reached. So I would directly only select the level 1, 2, maybe some activities from 3, which you think might be covered in that organization. In addition, if you do a DSOMM assessment, I recommend to first see what different not component, it's different parts in the organization you want to interview, and you should start with the supporting peripheral systems, like tools in a platform, like logging, like the platform itself, like version control system, cloud environment, and private registry. I have here an example with TLS. So if you say, hey, all these components or peripheral systems, they all have TLS. And then the application itself is also reachable with TLS, but the tools in the logging platform, they are not using TLS. Then you have to come to the conclusion that one option is that you come to the conclusion for that application, TLS is not implemented. Also, if you do it like this, if you first ask the peripheral systems, you can save time, because you can ask, do you have in the version control system platform the denial of a force push? So if there is force push not allowed in the version control platform, you just need to ask which version control platform do you use. And if you know already that it denies force pushing, you don't need to ask more things. I mean, obviously, you can ask more activities beforehand for the version control platform. So you like that, you save a lot of time. It's only difficult if there are no controls and no activities enforced by the version control platform, because then you will have to ask the team again. All right. Here, let us come to the next steps, the evaluation of current practices. So this is about how you assess, and in the interviews you perform in SAMM, it's more is based on the experience of the assessor. It's three-style conversations. The output are scores and observations and recommendations. Yeah, and then in the end you have a draft and final version of your report. In DSOMM, it's also assessor based, but we also, what I would recommend is also that you maybe automate some things, and also if you do a workshop that you ask for specific evidence, for example, show your Jenkins file or your GitHub actions and make a screenshot of one run of it. So then you have the evidence for your auditor already present, right? The ISO auditor, for example, or the ISMS auditor. In DSOMM, you have not implemented and implemented for the scoring. You might add a scoring like planned. But that is more to motivate, more for the motivation, for the cultural part. Initially that wasn't there. Now you find planned in the application, but as I said, that is mainly to motivate people that they get some scores because they have something in the backlog. Yeah, and in DSOMM, I would interview each application directly, while in SAMM, you often have a security architect who you, or an architect who you interview, and not, you don't interview each application mostly, or I wouldn't do that. Yeah, then we come to the planning phase. What are the targets, the roadmap? In SAMM, you define it, the roadmap based on the risk. You select specific activities for improvement, and then I think this is the main key point here of the slide. What do you plan? You plan around 0.5 points for a year. That's all. In DSOMM, yeah, you can define the long-term vision. From my experience is that you never reach that. Then you can communicate the target vision. And what you actually reach is 1 to 2 activities per year. It depends a bit on the activities, because some activities are easy to implement, like, for example, Git secret scanning. That is not so hard, while to implement software composition analysis until it really works is really hard and takes around half a year to a year. So it depends on the activity, but in general, I would plan 1 or 2 activities after you did the assessment for the next step, and that will take quite some time very often. So that's my experience. Don't plan for the next 3 years. It will fail anyway. All right. I think we talked about that. Oh, that's very important. As I explained, SAMM comes as it is. You don't adjust it. While DSOMM, you don't only adjust for the assessment, you also adjust it, from my point of view, for the plan. So you make your own application security program with DSOMM, or based on DSOMM. So you set on level 1, you put all the activities which are mostly implemented already. That is something I saw often, and which is a problem that often security teams put on level 1 too many activities which are not reached. So that is very demotivating for the teams. So the target on level 1 is to motivate the teams, and the average should be mostly is implemented, and then there will be some teams which might not have all activities on level 1, and they get encouraged to reach level 1 at least. And on level 2, on level 3, for example, there you add activities based on your based on the risk profile or the protection requirement of that applications. So there you can demand that they actually do a bit more than what is there already. Yeah, and then comes the implementation of the different activities. As I said, don't get discouraged. It will take some time until all applications will implement it. And the task is mainly that teams are enhancing their maturity, not that security is enhancing their maturity. Some activities, like, as I said, software composition analysis, that is something where you need to help, where the security team might be in charge to do something. But when it comes, for example, to TLS, that is something the teams have to do. The only thing security can do is guide with which algorithm should be used, where do you find which algorithms are good and bad. But I wouldn't say that is a task of the security team. There it's only to measure, not to do it. Yeah, then you roll it out and measure effectiveness. How effective is your application security program? Yeah, and this is the last slide. The final slide. So SAMM and DSOMM is a match, I would say. In large organization, you can use both. In smaller organization, I would choose. As I'm from DSOMM, I would choose DSOMM for smaller organizations, but that is up to you. Yeah, and the summary is SAMM is technology and methodology adjusting. DSOMM is more specific to DevOps practices. SAMM defines the what, and DSOMM defines the what and how you're implementing it. And SAMM has the scoring and the benchmarking, while in DSOMM it's easy to tailor for your own needs. You also have other standards like the ASVS. That is not the AI standard we just saw beforehand. This application security verification standard. A lot of things are in DSOMM and ASVS, but some application-specific things are only in the ASVS. So each standard has its place. Thank you.